You know, in the last, I'm going to say probably 3 or 4 months, I've had more people come to me with an interest of writing a book and not knowing how to do it than at any time over probably the last 15 years. It's been amazing. In the last several months, I've run into more people with incredible ideas about books that they have had inside of their head for 15, 20 years they've never put down on paper, and just out of general conversation, they've said, could you help me put this together? I'm really excited about writing it. Hi, I'm David Essel, and this is the work I love to do. You know, currently, as of today, I have 5 published books, and I think it's probably about 5 or 6 more books that are written and ready to go, and very, very excited about it. And when I share with people how to write a book, I say the #1 mistake, and I've talked about this on national radio and national TV, the #1 mistake that people make in regards to writing a book is they sit down and try to write the book. And that seems kind of oxymoronic, doesn't it? It's like, well, isn't that what we're supposed to do, David? If we want to write a book, shouldn't we just sit and write it? And the answer is no. Actually, very few people that I know of are capable of sitting down to write a book. Now, some people that write books of poetry, you know, they may not do what I'm going to share next. They may just sit and write. Sometimes, if you're reading a really spiritually guided book, one that's just flowing through you, which most books do just come from another source, and they use us as the typist or the person that's writing it out longhand. And every once in a while, you'll be able to write a book where it just flows and it's natural. But as far as I can tell, about 90% of us need to stop before we write a book, slow down, the name of one of my books, and create a powerful outline. And I'm going to give you all kinds of reasons why to do it. Now, for a lot of us, we're going to balk at this because we don't want the organization. We don't want to be stymied. We think that writing a book is just being creative. But actually, lots of times people will hit this thing called writer's block when they don't have a really good outline. And the reason is because their thoughts aren't organized. And that's probably one of the #1 things that stalls people from writing a book. The #1 thing that I've seen in my work in helping people to get ready to write a book is that they start writing, they're not organized, they hit a block, they don't know where to go next, and they just give up and walk away. And you know, it's really sad too, because I can't tell you how many people have amazing stories that would be awesome books, but they just never get around to writing it, or they start and stop and start and stop. Well, I'm going to tell you today that if you follow this really brief introduction that I'm going to share with you, that you're going to be able to stay on path and possibly write an exceptional book. So let's go through it together. Get a pen and paper. It's got to be organized. And listen, I'm one of those guys that, in a lot of times, I love to fly by the seat of my pants. I don't really like to be all that over-organized. I like to flow with life. If I'm doing radio or television, writing books even. But do you know, it's funny because I always have an outline. Even if I'm flowing and I don't want to get too structured, I always have an outline. So this is what we want to do. #1, what is a working title of your book? Now, some people will disagree with starting at this point, but I'm going to ask you to just trust me on this. Just write down any working title. It doesn't matter what it is. Just go ahead and write down a working title. You can always change it, but the subconscious likes to know we have an idea of what we might call it. Okay, that's #1. #2, what's the purpose or objective of the book? In other words, and this is just 4 or 5 sentences long, nothing too detailed, but at the end of a book, how do you want people affected? What's the purpose? What do you want to share, inspire, educate? Is it just for entertainment? But what's the purpose of your book? What do you hope that people will get out of it? Okay? #3 is going to be the actual outline. #1, the introduction. Within the introduction, just write out, what are the stories I'm going to share in the introduction? What would I actually say? Again, 3 or 4 sentences. Then the next, let's say you're going to write a 10-chapter book, and I always tell people make 10 chapters. You can make it less or more, it doesn't matter to me. But again, the mind loves to see some kind of structure. So you'd write chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 vertically underneath each other. And then chapter 1, what's the main point that you want to make? 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 10. Okay? Then when you go back to 1, and let's say that you're writing, I'm going to make something really simple here, is My Path to God. Okay, we'll just use that as the title of the book, is My Path to God. So the introduction is going to be something like, for a number of years, I had no idea why I was spiraling out of control into depression. I had no faith. I had very little confidence in myself, and I realized it was because I didn't have a path to go closer to God. Great, there's your little introduction, right? Then we go into chapter 1. the beginnings of losing God, and you tell a few stories about how you moved away from God. Number 2, and you break it down like that. And let's say that chapter number 7 is my reconnection with God. Well, you would write down, here's the 4 stories that I'm going to elaborate on that have to do with my reconnection with God. Do you understand that? It would be like, too, lots of times people give the example of baking a cake, and you have 10 chapters with baking a cake. Number 1, ingredients matter. And you'd write down, the day I used old eggs and the recipe failed. You know what I'm saying? The day I used skim milk versus whole milk and the recipe failed. The day whatever it might be. And so you would say how important in chapter 1 the ingredients are, and you write out stories that you either failed or were successful of when you focused on that topic. So, people have written books with this format I'm sharing with you, and this is the one that I've used in my book writing as well, to write about everything from fixing cars, to connecting with God, to baking cakes, to falling in love, to making more money. The format is all the same. Please don't get confused with the format having to be some really convoluted thing. It doesn't. I'm going to go over this one more time again. So, working title, what's the purpose objective, the introduction. The introduction and the purpose objective, just like 3 or 4 sentences, nothing more than that. Then, the 10 chapter titles, and then go back after you write out the 10 chapter titles, and in every chapter write down just little notes of, here's the 3 or 4 stories I'm going to tell in this chapter, here's the 3 or 4 stories I'm going to tell in that chapter, okay? Then you can go and start writing the book. And write it in the order that you've had it set out, okay? I know you're going to be a huge success. Don't wait any longer. Set apart a little time on a daily basis to write. Or maybe you'll say Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays you're going to write for 2 hours. But a shorter period of time is awesome to get you started. And if I can help you, and maybe even offer you more detailed advice on this than on what I can do on the short video, contact me at talkdavid.com. Let me help you. I don't have any problem whatsoever. This is the love of my life, helping people to grow. Let me help you. If you have a book in your mind, or you know someone that has a book and they haven't started writing it yet, let's get a system going, and then the book will flow. TalkDavid.com. Share this video with as many people as you'd like, and also don't forget to sign up for our YouTube account, the subscription right here, so that every time we have one put it on YouTube, it goes right to your personal account. Okay? I'm David Essel. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.